I'm Eugene Demaitre, Editorial Director of Robotics at WTWH Media. Joining me today is Jan Zizka, the CEO of Brightpick. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
And first off, let me congratulate you on your RBR50 Robotics Innovation Award win.
Thank you very much. It's our pleasure. We are very proud. As a small, still, and humble company, it's really great achievement for us. And of course, big thank you to the entire team. It was amazing 2 years. Very, very happy.
And so you were at our inaugural RBR50 Gala last night. What were the reactions of people around you?
I was like, it's always really great to get award, but it's even nicer if you feel that people tell you that you deserve it. It's kind of not only the jury, but looks like a lot of people, they really tell that we deserve it. And, all the interactions, super cool community. I think it's, as few people over there also told, like we are probably on the edge of something big in robotics and AI. And it's just, very interesting to see all the people and, smart and very motivated people. It's really a pleasure.
Now, it's been amazing at the Robotics Summit Expo this year. You hear the word inflection point a lot. And there is this feeling of critical mass. The show is grown, so is the industry. And certainly we're grateful to have you here, but also to be able to recognize these innovators across the industry. But for our audience members who may not be familiar, can you tell us a little bit about Brightpick and then what AutoPicker is?
Yes. So Brightpick is in principle spin-off of Photonio, the first company we founded with my co-founders. And Brightpick is really the very first mobile robotic picker commercially available. So the application is classical order fulfillment, piece picking. And the biggest challenge from robotic point of view was, of course, to combine all those, feet, hand, vision, and intelligence into one compact and cost-effective package. I think that's probably, the best definition I can make. And it's a very holistic problem to solve, from this viewpoint. So that's why we call it AutoPicker, because it's doing automatic picking directly in the aisles. And going back to the holistic approach, we are trying to always use is that it's not so robot on its own can do fulfillment. It's just part of it. So it's really the entire fleet management, partially WMS, WES, but still that robot is the core. The concept I can tell, invented. That special structure, we did, that was, very much, kind of, okay, what is the most efficient way how to solve order fulfillment? And, I think we did it and we are very happy.
Well, let's talk about order picking as an application or process. What are some of the challenges with order picking? Why has it been historically difficult for robots to do?
So, I remember, a few people and, very smart people from also bigger companies. We discussed a few times over maybe even 4 years, that if you just take the robotic platform and classical robotic arm and, just somehow glue them together, it's probably not going to work. It would be probably still very expensive and maybe partially overkill from some viewpoint. And I think that, and mainly what needs to be told is that the order fulfillment, classical order fulfillment manual is usually 80% walking and just 20% picking. So if you would have very expensive robotic arm on top of mobile robot, 80% of time probably nothing is happening, and that utilization is kind of key. Like ideally you utilize every single component of that robot all the time. That's, the ultimate, equation in principle. Of course, very difficult to achieve. So we needed to find the right balance between, complexity, capabilities, and ultimately price.
And so here's a brief description of AutoPicker. It's a mobile platform. It's not with a ARM with 6 degrees or 7 degrees articulation. It's a little bit different in that respect. And there's a mast, which I helped as we were setting up on the floor. It's pretty substantial, but it has to be able to move. And my understanding is that you guys say that yours is the only one that does this dual bin, sortation, as well as picking in the aisle.
Yes, exactly. That's very good point, because historically all fulfillment, all majority of similar systems, G2P systems, they are not consolidating that order on the robot. So it's always for us, it's a storage tote and order tote. So it's, maybe another meaningful name would be like a collector. The robot is collecting all the items and creating that one or potentially multiple orders. And that is really different. And it has some interesting consequences that, I like to tell, like sometimes you open a door to a new room and possibly there's multiple doors in that room and you can explore more. And I think that's what happened also here, that because we fundamentally changed that approach, how to do that order fulfillment, suddenly we have found, different new ways how to improve it further. So, for example, today we do something like 65 pph, peaks per hour, per robot, which is, close to human performance. I like to tell lazy human performance, but still, I think it's
well, and it's not just equal the performance of the human, it's saving the human from having to do all that walking and
Yep.
inefficient tasks.
Yep. And I think if you then see that the robot can work, let's say 2 or 3 shifts, suddenly it is from some viewpoint better than one human. Plus, we have a very strong plan and roadmap how to increase these. So we hope we do something like 90 pph by end of the year. And I think that is, from some viewpoint, game changer. And if you compare that to other robotic systems, we will be probably like almost 3 times faster than any other system.
And how do you manage the power requirements? Because obviously one of the problems with mobile manipulation in the past is that you have, again, technically a collaborative robot arm on top of an AMR, autonomous mobile robot, and the power requirements of both shorten the endurance of the system.
Yes. So first of all, I think battery technologies are also improving quite a lot, so that helps a little. And there's few tricks we implement. We are trying to get as best recuperation as possible from the mast, from the lift in principle, and something that may not be so visible, but usually people naturally tell that larger battery is better, but fundamentally what you really want to do is to have very fast charging. That is in principle the most important parameter from this viewpoint. And that robot is not I don't know exact number, but I think it's something between 150 to 200 watts of energy approximately. It's not very power hungry.
And one of the themes that has emerged in my conversations at this show is the issue of specialization versus generalization. And on the generalized side, we see humanoid robots, and I wouldn't say your robot is really specialized, right? But can you tell me how you arrive at that point in the continuum, and what do you think? Is there a movement long-term toward generalization, and what's Brightpick's plan for that?
That's a great topic and great question. I feel that when you start with some budget and you have to achieve profitability in meaningful time, today still you probably want to stick with special application and special design of the robot. And probably in upcoming years we will get a chance to have scale large enough to decrease the price of more general robots to a meaningful level. Because today I believe that there's, as we see also here, great companies, great robots, but I believe today it's very difficult to achieve a return on investment, which is perfectly fine. If that is part of your plan, it's perfectly fine. But of course, not every company can do it, and I think Exactly. I see it almost like a continuum. Uh, if we would be manufacturing, let's say, tens of millions or maybe hundreds of millions of, let's call it humanoid robots, or somehow broader, almost humanoid robots, let's call it like that. Suddenly, the price point can justify easily, and mainly what will happen is that suddenly you can serve more diverse portfolio of tasks using one robot. And I think that is kind of important. Like if we would use humanoids for one very specific task, that probably doesn't make sense.
But you mentioned scalability and obviously connections with warehouse management systems and the like. Um, how much are you scaling out fleets auto pickers? Is it are there you only need to put one in an aisle or zone? Do you have multiple robots? How are you managing them?
uh, Again, great question, and from some viewpoint, one of the most complex tasks we ever solved, and that is really that fleet management, efficient fleet management, let's call it like that. So for us, always the philosophy is that every robot is the same, kind of equal, and self-sufficient. So even if I would turn off half of the fleet, the rest still can work. So it's not like they have some dedicated task. It's all, every task is purely software driven. In principle, a robot is telling like, I finished my task, please attach me another task, and the software will do it. And in terms of entire layout and aisles, those robots, they really are trying to coordinate together. It's almost like, let's predict upcoming 1 minute, for example, in the most efficient way. And that task is actually NP hard, so that means non-polynomial, so extremely hard. And we of course do some kind of approximation as everybody else. But what is very specific in our case is that if you have systems like Kiva, they are moving on the grid. So it's in principle, it is continuous in time, but it's digital in space. It's you are here or here, kind of. For us, it's actually continuous in space and time, and that was one huge challenge to solve, but we cracked it. And in principle, without that piece, I think the entire solution wouldn't make sense. It's so important to navigate, very well. Exactly as you said, like there's if you see the final solution of the given plan, you could tell that those robots kind of avoid each other, to not cause any traffic jam. And it's almost like you want to spread them as evenly as possible in the entire layout. And from this viewpoint, yes, it works very well. And I think there's still probably few things that we can improve. But as I said, we solved a lot of problems. This is probably top 3 most complicated problems.
Well, and you mentioned that there are still things that you're working on. When you say that the things that you're working on balance, is it more on the software intelligence side? Is it more on the communications with other systems? Or is it the hardware? Where do you find that, we have a lot of room to new things?
So, the newest version of this fleet management, we are releasing that. So we have seen quite big gap there. So I think that's a big one. In upcoming half a year, I would say 90% of improvements are pure software. It's now I feel we are in the stage where hardware is stable, and I actually want to have it stable for a while, and now hunt all the performance on the software side, because you can iterate much more quickly. We have already hundreds of robots in the field, so it's very easy to actually see like real performance gains on live sites. It's not just like some simulation or something. So it's very easy to prove, yes, this works in this case very well. Let's roll out to other customers.
And as a startup yourselves, what should startups, either here at the Robotics Summit Expo or among our audience, what should they think about when they're making their strategies? We talked about the whole notion of this gigantic total addressable market that we hear about. Is that really what people should have in mind, or should they really hone in on something more specific?
I think probably always have a big vision, but short term, in principle, find the use case you can understand like extremely well, and that probably means it's quite narrow. I think that would be my recommendation. That mainly for smaller startups with fundraising in numbers of millions or maybe tens of millions, focusing on something specific is always better. I think that's probably one of the biggest lessons also from Fatoni, also from Brightpick, that if you can win, or be perfect in something, I think people usually do not understand how perfect they have to be. I think that's much more important than if you solve very general and big problem, but it's just 80% solution, nobody is going to pay. You have to solve it, 120%, and that means like go rather narrow and focus.
Jan, thank you again for the time, and congratulations on the RBR50. Once again, I'm Eugene Demaitre, and tune in for more episodes of the Robot Report podcast.
Thank you very much.